often put it this way. In order for us to be in the state that we're in today as people, we have to be out of our minds. We literally have to be crazy. It is necessary for us to be crazy. It is necessary for us to be backwards. It is necessary for us to be maladjusted. It is necessary for us to be disunited. It is necessary for us to be self-hating. It is necessary for us to be filled with an inferiority complex. In a world where the European is essentially about 10% of the world's population, if that 10% is to continue to rule over the other 90%, it must keep that 90% out of its mind. It must keep that 90% in a state of deception. It must keep...
Thank you for tapping in. It's your man, Brian HRap B. Williams, tapping into a few minutes for HRap. Thank you for tuning in. I want you to hit that like. I want you to hit that share. Tell a friend to tap in. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Thank you again. You already know, as you see the name of the show, Politics and Sneaker Pimps. That's what I'm going to talk about, the politics and the sneaker pimps. It is the fact that we're being exploited and we're being tossed to the side, and you're seeing enormous numbers, and those numbers don't translate into progress. Those numbers never translate into progress because one rich person does not mean an entire community is okay. You see, you know where I want you to go, www. I would love it if you watched it on www.thaendofdabench.com every day. I'm going to get the same traction. I'm going to get the same action. And you can comment if you like, but still go there. After the show, you will see the Black History video in its entirety because I only show a portion of it, because I only want to show you a portion because I want you to tap in to what's going on your own, because I want to intrigue you with the information that I'm giving you, and then entice you with the information I'm giving you, and then hopefully it will make you go seek it out. Now, as usual, thanks to my parents, to Lois and John. Thanks to everybody who's tapping in. Hit that like, hit that share, hit that like, hit that share, hit that like, hit that share. I say that every week. I say that every day, but because I need you to do it. Comment where you're from, any thoughts, questions, or concerns. What I really want you to do is pay attention to what I'm doing, and then it motivates you to have conversation. Hopefully somebody get angry. Usually when people get angry, they go into action. We don't want moments, we want movements. Now, back to the topic at hand. What's the topic at hand? Here it is: politics and the sneaker pimps. And who are the sneaker pimps? That's the NFL, NBA, NCAA, MLB. The people who go get we angle our young people in. As I've said 1,001 times. I've said this 1,001 times. These things are distractions. Are distractions healthy? Yes, indeed. They're definitely healthy. A healthy distraction won't hurt you. You know, a book could be a healthy distraction, a television show, sporting events, the aforementioned sporting events. But what I want you to understand is there's so many jobs. There's but so many jobs in the National Football League. 460, I think. 460 people. There are literally tens and maybe even hundreds of thousands of young men playing football. And we have been duped into believing, he might be able to make the league. You got a better chance of investing $2 every few days into the Powerball, and you actually have a better chance hitting the Powerball. How about that? You have a better chance hitting the Powerball than your child going to the National Football League. But there are other opportunities out there, and this is what I want to talk about. The sneaker pimps. That's who they are. The politics. That's how they get you to fall into the madness of alarming messages from politicians. But guess what? They've also made you forget what you learned in as early as in some places junior high, or if you live in Chicago, it's 8th grade, leaving elementary school. You have to pass what's called a Constitution test, and this is the difference in intelligence and being smart. Smart people pass the test; they don't think about it ever again. Intelligent people absorb the information and then make it practical, the practical application of said information. We're all intelligent, but we're not acting smart. We're all intelligent, but we're not acting smart because we passed that test. We were smart enough to pass that test. We're not using the intelligence that God gave us to use and enforce that smart thing that we have. And what do I mean by that? You have been duped into believing that a Republican is only going to do for Republican people and Democrats are going to do for different Democratic people. And that is a lie. That's why they distract us with things like conversations about Michael Jordan and LeBron, because they know most sports fans will do that all day long. Meanwhile, they're doing other things. I'm going to talk about this sports situation first and foremost. And then before I get into the situation with politics, I'll show you how another example of how when we were shut out, we created and then bam, we said, okay, I showed you I can do it. And then we went right back into the mainstream, which is why is it the mainstream? Since I keep telling y'all we're the largest population in the United States of America. Now, if you want to lump everybody in as white people, then yeah, we're behind. But they don't do that. They only do that when it's time to get you. And if they want to do it when it's time to get you, how about this? They follow us no matter what's going on. You got a 5-star restaurant like Skip Bayless's brother. He's here in Chicago. He's according to the world, one of the greatest chefs in the world. I know not one person that's ever gone to that restaurant. But you know what? You get a nice soul food restaurant. You get a nice Jamaican joint. You get a nice anything that we do, and people are running towards it. They're trying to be a part of it. Hip hop music, soul music, big band, jazz, whatever we do, black exploitation movies, whatever we, Tyler Perry, they had to get a part of Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry was on his way to being a billionaire anyway. But white America said, well, let us get some of that. Whatever we do, it becomes popular culture. We made Beyonce the hottest thing in the world. So now she's on the Super Bowl and the toilet bowl and every other bowl that they want to own, because what we do becomes popular culture. And we need to embrace that idea. So when you go make something, oh no, see, we need to get a bigger audience. No, you don't. Because let me give you an example. It's just in that pop culture around. The OJs you've never seen Eddie Levert on TV talking about, and then I was broke. No, because he's the Whispers. Most people in mainstream America do not know who the Whispers are, but they have some gigantic hits for the last 40 years. So this is what I want you to understand. When you create something, don't sell out to be mainstream, or you be like our sister Issa Rae. Sister Issa Rae had a show, Uncomfortable Black Girl, on YouTube. Quite sure she was a millionaire, like my man Country Wayne. And guess what? She sold out to get a bigger audience on HBO. And then she had to shut it down because they wanted to integrate more white people on her show when she could have stayed on YouTube and made $5 to $8 million a year and put it in her pocket, and then made her own movie and just followed the footsteps of Tyler Perry. But now she wanted to get more exposure. And when you get more exposure, you give them some control. When you give them some control, you lose control. And this is what I'm talking about. And that's why they distract us with this foolish nonsense. Rick Ross and 50 Cent arguing, and we paying attention. What's they arguing about now? No. And then they even have our elders participating in it. I don't know what Draymond Green said. He must have said something about the league being boring. And then they go ask Oscar Robertson. He has to defend the league. And now Oscar Robertson and Draymond Green have an issue. And then it's a conversation about that. Meanwhile, some of the things that I'm going to talk to you about a little later in the show, they're doing these things. They're enacting these things. This week, they are attempting to remove Black history from institutions that we pay for. Again, get this. This whole thing started in the South. So that's where we primarily populate the country. No, we are not in LA. We don't run. It's more of us in LA than most people. Yeah. There's more of us in Chicago than most places. Yeah. There's more of us in New York. Yeah. You're right. Detroit, Cleveland. In these major pockets in these states, we run things. But that state is Chicago is more than Chicago. Illinois is more than just Chicago. Los Angeles is more than 30 miles on. That's what TMZ is, if y'all didn't know. 30 miles on, that's what it stands for. But it's more than that 30 miles that covers Los Angeles and Los Angeles County. There are more people in that state. So but when you really look at the population of Black America, we're still in the South. And that's what we need to start focusing on. And we need to start realizing this is where our power is. Where our numbers are, that's where our powers lie. And when we realize those things, we'll stop being distracted by the National Football League. Why is it that we're not telling our young people, instead of saying, hey, yo, junior, young lady, I know you want to be a basketball player. I know you have the opportunity to go to college for free. I know you can even go over to Europe and make a wonderful living. You can stay here in America at this point and make a wonderful living. But understand, it's only a couple hundred people doing that. It's only a few hundred men doing that. But it's literally 108 Division I basketball programs, countless Division IIs, countless Division IIIs, NAIA, where they're offering free education. How is it that we're teaching our children to dream to be a basketball player when that's more than likely unlikely, but not teaching them to be architects? We're not teaching them to be political science people. We're not teaching them to be attorneys. We're not teaching them how to run a city. Because if we are going to get on our feet, we need to start with our children. Hey, you need not asking, if you've heard me say this before, not asking, what are you going to be when you grow up? How are you going to benefit the Black community when you grow up? These are important things. We must leave those distractions to those people. Is it cool to want to be a basketball player? Indeed it is. But you also need to be like Alan Page. He was a professional football player for 17 years. And since then, he's become a lawyer and now a judge. You have Dr. Hervé Damas. He's played for the Buffalo Bills and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And as you heard me say, he's Dr. Hervé Damas. These are the things we need to aspire our children to be. If you're going to be a National Football League player, if you're going to be an NBA player, you also need to understand the average career is 4 years. The average career. Don't look at Ray Lewis and Peyton Manning and LeBron James and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and these guys who pay 17, 18 years. The average career is just about the same amount of time it takes to graduate from college. Yes. And how about this? You get an NAIA money. I've said this before. You get an NAIA money, name, likeness, and image money, right? NIL money, name, image, and likeness. You're getting that money. But you know what? Instead of taking $1 million, take $500,000. If you got 2 brothers and 2 sisters, or a brother and a sister, I need y'all to not give me $1 million. I need you to pay for their education. Now, this is a burden off your parents' back. Now, your parents don't have to save. They can save towards something else and support you in other ways. This is the plan we need to have, because these institutions are making multi-million dollars. Look, if CBS can give the NCAA $5 or $6 billion and they divide that up into the schools, how much are those schools making? Understand what the average cost is about $25,000 to $40,000 a year, and it's about 15,000 to 20,000 people on that campus. Do the math. The basketball program is awesome. The football program is awesome, but the student body runs the situation. And then you get into an institution like Notre Dame. You get into an institution like Michigan with a wonderful law program. You go to USC with law, arts, and other amenities. UCLA with a wonderful medical situation. All these institutions major in something. They have a wonderful situation at something academically, especially the schools that you've never heard of. Especially those schools. And when you go to those institutions, there are millionaires and billionaires that come from those smaller schools. So don't be so afraid and get so distracted with the nonsense about what's going on in the NBA and all that. Yeah, we love tackling, running, jumping, throwing, swinging the bat. We love all of it. We want to see the next Serena. But you know what we also need to see, since we love entertainment so much, we need to see the next Gordon Parks. We need to see the next Quincy Jones. We need to see the next Smokey Robinson, the next Stevie Wonder, and we need to see the next Hervé Damas. We need to see the next Larry Drew. We need to see the next Madam C.J. Walker, Addie Malone. We need those people as well. We need those people more than we need another LeBron James, because another LeBron James, contrary to popular belief, is a dime a dozen. We can go get another basketball player. Another basketball player in the Black community is like saying, I need another anything. Anybody can do sports. Sports is something that anybody in the world can do. And I hate to belittle our brother LeBron James like that, but sports is not a big deal. Anybody can play sports. Anybody can be entertaining. Because guess what? In about a year or two, LeBron James is going to be at home. And then what we're going to do, we're going to find somebody else. We're going to be looking at Victor Wembanyama. We're going to be looking at Ja Morant. Meaning, if you can run, jump, and throw, they can find you and you can play. But it's not a lot of us that can pay for medical school. There's not a lot of us that can do the things that we need done. And if we don't prepare for those things will come and go. And guess what? They're going to move on to the next big thing. And the next big thing could possibly be your child. Your child could be the greatest mind known to America that we've ever seen. I'm gonna give you an example of this right now as I pull this up. And basically, I want you to understand that what we're missing out on is wonderful opportunities to magnify our greatness versus running, jumping, throwing, and doing those things. We can be doing the things that will benefit us as well as entertain. Of course, we love Michael Jackson, but we also love the fact that a brother and a sister helped a brother and or a sister helped with just about everything and anything in the United States of America. I want you to listen to this. I'll be back shortly, and then you already know how I do this. Oh, maybe I need to turn the volume up.
To rectify this,
let me start over.
Today, basketball is a globally recognized sport that is heavily dominated by Black players. But there's a time that is not that long ago where Black players were excluded from the game. So to rectify this, they created their own all-Black basketball teams. So join us today while we talk about the history of the Black Five. And if you like stories like this, you can find more stories like this at onemichistory.com. Also, if you like audio-only episodes, you can find them wherever you get your podcasts. But without further ado, let's get started. Basketball is now an international sport, but it has its roots in 1891 with James Naismith, a Canadian-American physical education teacher. Designed to keep his students active during the winter, the game initially used a soccer ball and 2 peach baskets. Naismith created the game with 13 basic rules, forming a solid structural framework that still influences the game today. His efforts led to basketball inclusion as an organized sport in the 1936 Olympic Games and set the stage for the formation of the National Basketball Association in 1949. However, for Black players, especially in the early 20th century, basketball, much like the broader American society, was heavily racially segregated. White players predominantly occupied the professional scene, and despite immense talent, African American players faced systemic barriers and were excluded from the major leagues. In response to this, Black communities would create their own spaces. They embraced basketball as a means to foster social cohesion and enhance community pride and establish their own distinct identity. This movement was significantly influenced by a man by the name of Edwin Henderson, known as the godfather of Black basketball. In 1904, Henderson introduced basketball to African Americans in Washington, D.C. through segregated public school physical education classes. Following his studies at Harvard University, he saw the sport as a means to improve public health and advance civil rights by challenging stereotypes that Black people were inferior. This laid the initial foundation for the Black Five era that expanded from around 1904 into the 1950s. In those early days, basketball was not immediately popular.
And like I said, this is what, and when you know things like this and you see people in the early 1900s, which is literally 100 years ago, create institutions so we can get better health, show that we were equally intelligent, we could think our way through things, we could physically do things, and we could mentally do things. And then it will improve our cardiovascular, our heart disease, reducing things like heart disease, diabetes, and things of that nature. This is what these things are used for. Paul Robeson was a professional football player. And guess what he did to pay his way through? He was a football player and an entertainer. That's how he paid his way through law school, through playing in football leagues. This is not what we're built for. We're thinkers, we're creators, we are lovers, we are communal creators, we are everything that's positive in the world. And when you see things like that, you will understand you're wasting your time and your mind only knocking down people and knocking down shots. We're better than that. Let's not reduce ourselves to that. What we do is take that money from the NCAA, get our children educated, then they become doctors and lawyers. And guess what? They funded the overthrowing of their foolish system. Speaking of their foolish system, this comes to that's the sneaker pimps, because then they entice you with shoes and get a shoe deal and you get a movie deal and you get a TV deal, and you can become a rapper, and then you can make sneakers. And then if you're lucky enough to be Jalen Rose, if you're lucky enough to be LeBron James, and I think it's another ball player that open your own school, then that's awesome as well. But 3 out of 480 or 3 out of 15,000, because it's been 15,000, and then knowing it's only 15,000 people that come through the NBA, why would you tell hundreds and hundreds of thousands of young people that could be your dream? It could be, but, and I'm not saying not have dreams, but you also must be able to exercise your mind as you exercise your cardiovascular system, exercise your heart, and make sure your blood is flowing properly. Because two of the most important organs that the blood needs to come to is the heart to keep you alive, and the brain to keep your mind functioning. And why should your mind function? Because the politics. See, people, again, as I stated at the beginning of the show, people think it's Republican, Democrat, and no, and they're going to do what I want. They're going to do this and they're going to do that. And we're going to, no, it's not about that. It's not politics is about the allocation of power and resources. The resources and funds, I should say, it's the power to allocate resources and funds throughout communities throughout the United States. That's what politics is about. And at this point, politics is about enforcing white nationalism and racist ways to regress and reform and revert back to the 1840s. Exactly. I ain't talking about the 1940s, because we were killing it in the 1940s. We were big, as you saw, we were creating our own basketball leagues in the 20s. You had multiple multimillionaires. And if you watched the show from yesterday, you found out that Black people had money they couldn't even spend. We said Cadillac, and there's a million other things that you don't really learn about in school, which leads me to the reason I even brought up politics and sneaker pimps, because these clowns in the United States federal government want to defund schools who teach Black history. They literally want to create laws, which they've already done in the state of Florida. They've already done this in the state of Florida. Anything being taught that will hurt a white person's feelings, and it does say a white person's feelings, you have to apologize and not teach that. You know why? Because they don't want, anybody's ever seen those pictures of black people being hung from trees, and you see a bunch of white people standing around at a lynching and people are being set on fire, tarred and feathered and things of that nature? Yeah, some of their aunts, uncles, and grandparents are on those pictures, and you don't want to see a granny at the lynching. That's what it is, because you're an upstanding white person, and I love everybody. Now you do. But if you really did, would it still be discrimination? Would it still be segregation? Would it still be a problem with DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion? We're not going to say DEI anymore, because it's easy to just dismiss that. Like, people go NAACP and then you go NCAA, and then it gets all convoluted, right? But when you say the national advancement for colored people, whoa, wait a minute. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. Now, what I want you to do is stand in front of me as a righteous person and say, "Now, I don't want that." You know, just like a couple of years ago, they made woke a bad thing. How could woke ever be a bad thing? You want to die? You want to stay asleep? How does sleep benefit you? If you've been asleep 8 hours, why do I need to stay asleep? And if you, well, and then what was the thing? I love this. This was my favorite one, because it was a graduate level class. That means you had to go to high school. You had to go to elementary school, junior high school, graduate from college, and then get this class. I can't think of it right now, but I will think of it in a second. This class, everybody was, oh, well, we don't want that. We don't want to teach that, because they were teaching the truth. And it was an elective, meaning you had to know about the class, you had to graduate from college, then you had to go to law school to get the class. And we're not going to do that. And then what they did was talk it down, because people don't like when you hold up a mirror. If I make a mistake and somebody say, "Hey, Rap, you made a mistake," I'll be like, "Yeah, I accept it. I've learned to accept it." But when you show me my mistakes, I literally in my mind go, "Shut the hell up." I do. But I accept it, but I still go, "Shut the hell up." And I was, as recently as 24 hours ago, I was accused of being angry, but I know this person, and I know that person is not going to give me a bad deal, so I know what's coming. If I make a mistake, they're going to correct that mistake, and I love it. I don't like it outwardly, but I love it technically. And let me see if somebody just said something right here. Woke is because they want us to ace. They want us to stay down. Exactly. Exactly. Thank you, Poe. That's my friend Poetic Sins. If you are on here, go to Poetic Sins and subscribe to our YouTube page. She put us out great content as well. But they want us to stay dumb. And the dumb part is we believe, and I'm not calling anybody dumb, we believe that, oh, it's a Republican there. He's not going to do what I say. Yes, he is. Because he's a civil, short for civic, a civilian servant. Servant is a person who does civilian servant, a person that does what the people want. But if you sit back and don't say anything, then bam, it's over. If you've had a conversation with more than 5 people about the wire, about the Housewives, about the NFL, about the Super Bowl, about the Kendrick Lamar thing, guess what? You got enough people to start making phone calls on that app from it. You know, I always bring up the 5 Calls app. The 5 Calls app. Yes, indeed. I need you to download it. So you can just call in and this is what you say. Hi, my name is Brian Williams. I am a registered voter in 606 blank blank Chicago, Illinois. And I am calling because I got this complaint. And we need to have on our personal calendars. If you every day on Facebook, you see somebody's birthday. Happy birthday. You got this thing that is stronger than the computer that got the people to the moon, allegedly. I wouldn't know. I don't know. Because if this was the first person on the moon and he was doing like this, who took the picture? But that ain't what we talking about right now. But that thing in your hand is stronger than the computer that helped them get to the moon. Okay. But that thing also has a calendar on it. So guess what? You need to have programmed into your thing, the school board calendar. So when they try to take down things like take out Sojourner Truth out of libraries, when Zona Nail Helston, they want to take out Frederick Douglass. They want to take out because he was LGBTQIE. My man James Baldwin, one of the most intelligent human beings that ever walked the face of the earth. They don't really talk about Langston Hughes because he was never outed, but it's been rumored that he was on part of LGBTQIE. Whitney Young, if you in Chicago, Illinois, Whitney Young is the most prestigious public school, the school that Michelle Obama came from. There's a lot of doctors and lawyers come from that public school. Whitney Young is a black man who was affiliated with the LGBTQIE community. Bannett Rustic, same thing. Some of the greatest people in our community are affiliated with these things they want to get rid of. But they've trained you to think like them. I'm sick of this gay stuff. Well, gay didn't start in the 2000s. Gay started better than 10,000 years ago. But you want to get rid of it now. But because if I reduce your strength, if I continue, look, this is the black community when we are at our best. This is us at our weakest. I'm gonna get rid of LGBTQ. I'm gonna get rid of the migrants. I'm gonna get rid of the fat people. I'm gonna get rid of the people without college education. And now they pop you. Look, if you want to believe that it's not important to learn Black history, how many times have you watched this program and I've shown you something that you didn't know and you went, wow, I didn't know that. And now it should say, and I can do something different. The reason our ancestors and you heard last night on the program, you heard the man say he met a person who was enslaved. He got people in his family who had real conversations with that person because he was too young to have a real conversation with them. And it's the reason your grandparents always say, like my grandmother, Esther Livermore used to say, get your lesson, Brian. Get your lesson, Brian, because a lot of those people only got to 4th grade. So just imagine a person who had the wherewithal to purchase land, pay taxes, have a family, raise that family, put them in school and raise doctors, lawyers, and what have you. And I only got to 4th grade. So just imagine if all of us only get bachelor's degrees. And then another generation only get master's degrees. They love to put tropes in your head like, well, I walked so my son could drive. And when my son drove, his son had a Mercedes. And when his son had a Mercedes, his son had a Ferrari, and then his son walked. No. Because stick-to-itiveness is embedded in you. And the more you put that work ethic in you, like I told you before, you are a sum total of everybody in your generation. Everybody in your lineage, you are sum total of those people. Women are it is a 4-year-old girl with all the eggs in her fallopian tubes that she will ever have. That means all that trauma that was in her great grandmother is in her right there. All the genius that was in her great grandmother is right there in her, and she's passing it. She's already preparing to pass it on to the next generation. So if all we do is start inspiring our young people, hey, what you gonna do when you get out of college? We're not asking our children when you get out of high school, what trade are you gonna take up? Are you gonna be a mechanic? Are you gonna be a doctor? Are you gonna be a lawyer? Are you gonna be an accountant? Are you gonna be in poli-sci? Oh, you're a very argumentative young person. We need to put you in political science, and we're gonna have the next Jasmine Crockett. We're gonna have the next Hakeem Jeffries. We're gonna have the next Hervé Damas, Dr. Charles Jewell, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the great Malcolm X. You're gonna be the great orator like Malcolm X. You're gonna be the next Adam Clayton Powell. If you don't know who Adam Clayton Powell is, and it's not the general Clayton Powell, Adam Clayton Powell is the reason when you had your baby, you were able to take him to Head Start in kindergarten. Thank you, Adam Clayton Powell. He's a brother. If you see him on the internet every once in a while, he'd be like, I love being black, baby. That's Adam Clayton Powell. Very, very fair-skinned brother. Some people try to say they don't know, but I know. I'm going with what he said. He said he was down for the cause. He a soul brother. He a soul brother to me. I don't care what you look like. It's what you're built with. And these are things that we need to know. If you're going to tell universities, if you're going to fall into this nonsense, well, it's making white people feel bad. Hey, sucks to be you, white people, because you did these things. Guess what? I don't like being corrected, but I'm going to get corrected every time I make a mistake, and I understand that. So what? Damn your feelings, I'm going to tell you. And it's cool because it only makes me better. I make less mistakes, and now I'm better and better and better and better and better. So is it important that you teach Black history in school? Because even I say, hey, man, we can teach it in our churches. But you know what? Hell no, we can teach it in our churches. And we can also teach it in these institutions of higher learning, whether it be elementary school, high school, and especially in college. You know why? Because the University of Illinois is funded by my tax dollars. Illinois State University, my tax dollars. So damn it, you're going to put what's in. If my children are going to go there, you're going to put it in there, and you're going to keep it in there. Because when I go buy some dinner tonight, that money is going to get, some of that tax money is going to build in that school where I go buy. When I pay my bills, when you pay your light bill, it's tax on it. You pay your cell phone bill, it's tax on it. So if you're going to take my tax dollars, you're going to teach my children the way they need to be taught. And I'm going to go, like I said, we're going to do the after school and the church programs, and we're going to enhance that even further and further make our children stronger. So what we're going to do is ignore the we're going to get in the behinds of the politics, and we're going to ignore the sneaker pimps. Because here it is. This is why I brought up the sneaker pimps, and then I'm out. Because the sneaker pimps is that now all of a sudden the National Basketball Association, they're losing viewership. And what did they do? They said, we're going to start making dunks worth 3 points because people are complaining about the 3-point shot. No, that's not why they're going to do that. You see, if you see the thumbnail that I created with Donald Trump, the politics, Roger Goodell, and Adam Silver, the sneaker pimps, and you also see the ultimate pimp, the gambler. You got ESPN bets, FanDuel, and other betting apps. That's why they want to add that 3-point thing, because now it'll be more people invested in parlays. And when more people invest in those parlays, they make more money. When they make more money, they get richer. And then they're going to give 460 black men $1 million. And most of those black men don't have the financial literacy and wherewithal to maintain that. See, it don't make a difference what you pay me, how much I keep in my pocket. How many people know that if you had $350,000, you can go to a bank and put it in what is called a cash deposit, or commonly known as a CD? It will, at 3.5%, you will get $14,000 a month in that interest. And at the end of the year, you have $168,000. And then you still have, and then they will give you your $350,000. You do it every 6 months. They give you your $168,000 at the end of the month. End of the year. And then you reinvest, and you'll never have to work again. How many of those young men, how many of us know that? See, these are the things that when we are enhancing each other, We will build each other up. A high tide lifts all boats. Are you part of the high tide, or are you part of the rocks at the bottom of the boat that's going to sink the boat and kill us? That's what you have to decide. I need you to continue to support. Man, you guys have been subscribing big time. You've been commenting big time, and you've been watching big time. It is greatly appreciated. It's kind of crazy with the stuff that I talk about. All of a sudden, I'm big in Sweden. I'm big in the Netherlands. I'm big in a lot of places where there's not a lot of us at. So that means the people that are there are tapping in. I want to thank you again. Hit that like, hit that share. Subscribe if you haven't. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tap in, because y'all already know I am HRap B. It is 2 fingers, 1 word. That word is peace, and I am.
And it is necessary for those people who rule over us and who rule over African people the world over, if those people are to stay in power, they must destroy our ability to love each other in a healthy sort of way. This is why